Hello, Mother.
Where did you get all that gut?
Just don't think I look pretty.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the fashion details that historical movies and shows get wrong.
How's it coming?
It's difficult to say.
I'm told it's the latest fashion in London.
Number 10, wearing boots all the time. We get it. To modern eyes, boots just look cooler. But people in the Renaissance era didn't wear them constantly.
And you wouldn't wear that sort of waistcoat with that sort of coat with boots and trousers in this period. It just was not a thing in 1813.
Just like today, they mostly wore boots for outdoor activities like hunting or riding. They usually didn't wear them indoors, and they definitely didn't wear them to formal occasions. In other words, no, King Henry VIII would not have worn thigh-high boots at his own wedding. Men wore ordinary leather shoes, often with high heels, and stockings to show off their legs.
Been given an extraordinary opportunity for one of your rank.
Haven't I? I have.
You must at every moment please the king.
That would mean...
If you do not, suffice to say, I shall be watched.
That said, we can understand why costume designers often go with boots instead of historically accurate looks. Modern audiences would probably think brightly coloured tights look pretty ridiculous on a man.
But what would you say, or else we'll put out your lights? We're men in tights, always on guard defending the people's rights.
Number 9, doublets hanging open. This is a strange thing to get wrong in your period film, especially since it would be so easy to fix.
I've been waiting for you to summon me, Beth. I couldn't wait any longer.
A doublet is a form-fitting, button-up jacket popular in the 16th and 17th centuries. The operative word there is a button-up. See that white shirt underneath? That's underwear. It's not supposed to be hanging out.
No, not at all. No. I think we should keep your good name quite intact.
Going out in public with your doublet unbuttoned would be like walking around with your pants around your ankles today. Maybe modern-day filmmakers feel like the buttoned-up doublet looks too formal, and they want to give their characters a casual, roguish look. Either way, it's historically inaccurate.
You confuse indifference with honesty.
You confuse honesty with venality.
Oh, you think me venal?
You are a venal cur.
Number 8, wearing togas everywhere. Hollywood would have you believe that everyone in Rome wore togas constantly. In reality, togas were a formal garment reserved for special occasions. This makes sense, since the yards of fabric that made up a toga were hot, heavy, and difficult to get on just right.
The left arm carries all the weight in this process, and the right arm is left free for proper gesturing. We can do a little bit of tightening, creating a little bit of tension in the material.
Only Roman citizens were allowed to wear them, and they only did so when absolutely necessary. It was kind of like wearing a tuxedo or evening gown today.
What an auspicious day! Many gave their lives that we might stand here once again, united in the government of a lawful republic.
For an important ceremony or public appearance, sure. Just walking around town? No way. And while we're on the subject, several Roman emperors, including Nero, made it illegal for anyone other than themselves to wear the colour purple. So all of those folks in 2014's Pompeii had better run home and change.
Your father has granted Lee your hand in marriage.
What?
I made no such arrangement. Because he knows that if he does not, I will inform Titus that your father has called into question our new emperor's ability to rule. Titus will have your entire family hung from the city walls.
Number 7, bare legs in the 1940s.
Hey, we got a visitor.
Oh, that ain't no Navy issue uniform.
We're looking at you, Pearl Harbor, although that film is far from the only offender. During this era of fashion, silk or nylon stockings were an absolute must for Western women. They simply didn't leave the house with bare legs.
Right over left. Legs always together. A lady reveals nothing.
And for women in uniform, stockings were a requirement. In fact, stockings were such an important part of women's attire that when nylon was in short supply during World War II, there were actual riots. Some people even resorted to desperate measures to simulate stocking seams when they couldn't get their hands on the real thing.
They shaved their legs, carefully applied a liquid silk stocking, otherwise known as paint, and lined the backs of their legs with a trompe l'oeil seam.
Number 6, too much cleavage. It's true that the 15th and 16th centuries weren't as buttoned up as, say, the Victorian era, but it's also true that women didn't walk around with heaving bosoms exploding out of the tops of their dresses all the time.
Come. My mind hath been as big as one of yours. My heart is great, my reason haply more, to bandy word for word and frown for frown. But now I see our lancers are but straws.
High-necked gowns were very popular, as were slightly lower-cut square necklines, both of which were pretty modest by today's standards. Women of all classes also wore a chemise or smock under their dresses.
I couldn't very well climb up here in that gown now, could I? And besides, you might break your royal neck, and then where would we be?
Since the gowns themselves were extremely difficult to wash, the chemise protected the expensive fabric from the wearer's oily skin and sweat. Of course, many modern filmmakers are more interested in aesthetics than historical accuracy or practicality.
Danger, jealousy, unkindness, scorn, disdain, strangeness, and such like.
Number 5. Kilts in the Middle Ages.
Do that stand on your head and I'll be impressed.
My kilt will fly up, but I'll try, alright?
The kilt is the most iconic Scottish garment, so, of course, Scottish men in movies have to wear them, but they weren't actually invented until around 1600. That means every film set in medieval Scotland that shows men wearing kilts got it wrong.
What? I heard that. On, say it to my face. Or are you scared, simpering jackanapes?
Early kilts, like togas, were made of yards of heavy wool and had to be pleated and draped over the shoulder. Smaller kilts, which were more like skirts, didn't appear for another couple of centuries. Even after kilts arrived on the scene, no one wore them in battle. Instead, Scottish warriors usually removed their kilts and fought wearing only a knee-length shirt.
Don't talk nonsense, man! I peed my kilt the first time I went into battle!
Aye. Angus pees his kilt all the time.
Number 4. Super tight corsets.
Sally Moffat, you won't be able to draw your laces. At my coming out party, I didn't eat for weeks beforehand.
While tight-lacing corsets was a thing in the mid-1800s, not everyone was doing it. The practice was actually extremely controversial, and most of the general public thought it was absurd.
20 inches. I've grown as big as Aunt Pitty. You simply gotta make it 18 and a half again, Mammy.
Many different types of corsets existed at the time, and they were worn for different purposes. They didn't have to be laced extremely tightly, and they usually weren't. And even back then, doctors were aware of the negative health effects of tight lacing, and warned against it. Some even advised men not to marry women who laced their corsets tightly, since it could actually affect reproductive health. Tight lacing also didn't start until the late 1820s, so Bridgerton, you're about 15 years too early.
Is she to breathe, Mama?
I was able to squeeze my waist into the size of an orange and a half when I was Prudence's age. Your sister shall do the same.
Number 3. Codpieces. Listen, we know they look ridiculous to modern eyes, but no 16th century man worth his salt would go without them.
Well, the uses are possibly a little bit of protection, but really it's about creating an image and showing off your virility. But you could also keep precious little things in there, like jewels, for example, hence the terms a man's family jewel.
Over time, codpieces evolved to be bigger and more pronounced, so as to better accentuate what was underneath. Suits of armour were even constructed with metal codpieces, maybe to give men that extra boost of confidence as they rode into battle. Yet in movies and TV shows set in the 1500s, there's almost never a codpiece in sight.
Your Grace is surprised? No, only a little disappointed.
The other Boleyn girl deserves a shout out here. Say what you want about its historical accuracy, but at least Eric Bana got to wear a codpiece.
And? Did it not please you?
On the contrary, my lord. They pleased me greatly.
Number 2. Bright colours.
I do not wish to see a citrus colour ever again.
Sour colours indeed. But what has brought about this sudden desire for change?
You have to be pretty knowledgeable about the history of fashion to spot this problem. While humans have been using natural materials to dye clothes for thousands of years, synthetic dyes weren't invented until the mid-1800s. Although some natural dyes can impart deep shades of colour, most were much more muted.
What's wrong with this one? It's blue. Well, Henry loves blue. And 50 other girls will be wearing the exact same colour.
It simply wasn't possible to achieve these kinds of bright blues, greens and purples using natural dyes. Yet films set in every time period, from ancient Rome to the Middle Ages to the French Revolution, love to feature these bright, eye-popping hues.
Do you not see, Lucilla? I will give the people a vision of Rome and they'll love me for it.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Loose and uncovered hair. Throughout a good chunk of history, Western women were expected to tie up and/or cover their hair. In fact, for hundreds of years in Europe, leaving one's hair loose was considered a sign of sexual impropriety.
You are a wife now. You only take your hair down when you're alone with himself, during marital purposes.
Marital.
Yet a huge percentage of period movies and shows get this wrong. For example, many depictions of the Tudor era show women wearing a French hood, but missing the veil on the back that would have covered the hair.
A half-grown steer and a leggy girl will not be allowed to overturn the policies of state.
We get it. Natalie Portman, Gwyneth Paltrow, and all of these other actresses have beautiful long hair, and filmmakers want to show it off. But it's just not historically accurate.
I'm not so well born.
Well-mannered is the same as well-born, and well-married is more so.
Which historical fashion fact surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below.
I'm still learning about this stuff and
This stuff?
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.